Good morning, and what a morning it is. I'm up in the hills and mountains of the Isle of Man today, and it's a bit of a winter wonderland as you can see around me, and it's just one of those absolutely beautiful mornings where frankly I feel a little bit overwhelmed with the shooting possibilities. But I've got my first composition actually lined up here. You can see my Z7 is on the tripod pointing that way, and what I'm interested in here is a chain of mountains that's hopefully going to be illuminated by the rising sun that you can see just behind me here. And it's just gone behind a bank of cloud at the moment, but if we can get it higher above that cloud, hopefully it's going to illuminate this wintry landscape around me and also potentially add some colour into the clouds that are kind of filling portions of the sky at the moment. So I'll just switch you around and then I'll talk you through the first composition that I found. Okay, I've changed angle and we're just behind the camera here. So what I'm interested in is shooting down this way, and I've placed these rocks that you can see here in the foreground, and they're sitting in the left of the scene. And what I particularly like about them is just how they sit on the slope of the mountain and they open up the view to the ridge that you can see behind, which extends out to the second highest peak on the Isle of Man, which is called North Brule. So the positioning of these rocks just fits well together with what's behind it, whereas other rocks in and around this landscape just don't hang together the same way. Now when I first got here, these aren't actually the rocks that I came to shoot. I did have some other rocks that sit right on the ridge lined up, but there was footprints all around them and the scene was basically destroyed. So I've come down off the ridge a little bit, and this area is pristine. No one walks here other than me, so any footsteps you can see around me, it's all my work. And whenever you come to scenes like this, you've got to very much sort of tiptoe around and try and make sure that you don't unwittingly sort of walk through your own compositions and destroy them, and it can be quite tricky, I find. So I spent a good half an hour sort of wandering around this slope trying to find the composition, and I've kind of decided that this is the way to go, this one here. Settings wise, it's a pretty straightforward shot. I'm shooting it ISO 64, base ISO, maximum dynamic range, maximum quality. Focal length, I'm not sure, let me check. Oh, it's about 40mm at the moment. F11, and I'm not entirely sure on my shutter speed. With sunrise and sunset shots, that tends to change quite frequently, but there's no movement in my scene here, so it really doesn't matter. I'm not shooting with any filters either. There's not really a requirement to do so here. And yeah, that's about it. I don't think I'll have to do any exposure blending because the dynamic range isn't too insane, but I probably will just do a one-stop under exposure bracket just in case the highlights in the sky really catch. And I'll probably do a focus stack as well, just as an insurance policy. So I'll take one image focus right down on the rocks and another back on the mountain chain there. Just look how those peaks behind me are capturing the beautiful morning light streaming in. It's exquisite, it really is. And I'm pretty confident I've got the shot in the bag. And yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with it. It's not what I expected to capture this morning, but I genuinely think it hangs together pretty well. And what I like is, at the moment, over where the sun is rising, we've got clouds that are blowing past, and that's creating a lot of sort of dynamics within the light in this landscape behind me. So sometimes the foreground will illuminate with light, and then other times it will be thrown into shade or partial shade. So what I've tried to do is capture a variety of different lighting conditions in this scene. Some with the foreground fully illuminated, some with it partially illuminated, some with full shade. And my thinking here is, if the foreground is fully illuminated and the background peaks there are fully illuminated, it perhaps cuts out a degree of depth through the shot and makes the shot feel very two-dimensional. Whereas if you can create a bit of dynamics in the light, so shade in some areas, light in others, it creates depth and perhaps draws the viewer into the scene. So I've tried some with the foreground rocks here just in complete shade, and just having those peaks out there just capturing the light. And I don't know, it's difficult to say out in the field here which approach is the best. I'll only know that when I get back into post-production, but by taking all of those different shots, I've at least allowed myself the ability to pick and choose when I get home which is the best approach. But what a morning. It's been amazing. And also the northerly wind that's coming in this direction, it's blowing air up this ridge, which is condensing little clouds that are blowing over and through the scene here, so they're just adding a great degree of texture and detail into that sky. A really nice little touch. As you can see, I ended up preferring the foreground being illuminated with that beautiful warm sunrise glow. For me, the shot works because of the selective lighting on the background. The midground, through the dip in the ridge, is in shade, which helps separate the foreground from the background. Additionally, the slopes of the ridge running down into the valley on the right are also in shade, which helps frame the illuminated peaks above. The importance of this dappled lighting cannot be emphasised enough. If I was to critique the shot, I would say the foreground isn't as strong as the background. But in my defence, I wasn't spoilt for choice on foreground subjects, and the positioning of the rocks allowed me to open up the sea view on the left of the ridge, which was key to making the shot work. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Oh, what a morning it's been, and situations like this perfectly encapsulates why I love landscape photography. It gives me that compelling motivation for dragging my ass out of bed, and without it, frankly, I wouldn't be out here to enjoy all of this absolutely beautiful scenery. It just makes you feel alive, it really does. The observant amongst you might have noticed that I'm using a different tripod setup today. So this is my old Me Photo Globetrotter, which I've had for yonks, but I've put a new tripod head on. That's the Benro G2, and it's a really impressive tripod head, I have to say, and I think this combo together, very powerful and very, very lightweight. I've still got my Benro and my Benro geared head and my Benro tripod. That is still my main tripod setup, and that's not going anywhere. But for situations where I just need to run that little bit lighter, this is my go-to. Now, I'm not sure where the video is going to go from here because we've got nice winter weather sort of forecast for the next few days. So I think there's definitely more opportunities for me to get out and exploit this. So the video will either cut to a completely different time frame now, or it will cut to something completely different. You'll find out now.